Gurubhyo Namaha. Namaste and a very warm welcome to yet another session in our Quest series. Quest is our interview series where we interview passionate and committed seekers in the path, and these interviews are, designed in a way to inspire the listener in their own paths of seeking. We have with us today Rajat ji. Namaste, Rajat ji. Thank you so much for joining us. I would like to begin the session. Thank you. I would like to begin the session with a prayer. Sahana bhavatu Sahanau bhunattu Sahaviryam karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Rajat Pratap is currently pursuing history honors from Hansraj College, Delhi University. Apart from history, his academic interests lie in philosophy, psychology, and literature. For last 2 years, he has been associated with Advaita, the spiritual society of Delhi University, first as editing head and now serving as vice president. Deeply engaged in civilizational issues, he sincerely believes that in the turbulent world of 21st century, Bharat has something to offer which is not only relevant but absolutely necessary. Bringing those axioms from Bharatiya consciousness to the fore in lucid and impactful manner is his life mission. Once again, we welcome you, Rajat ji. So happy and glad to have this conversation with you. And my first question to you would be, to know a little more about yourself. Could you please share your life journey? What has led you towards the path of spirituality? Let's start with that. Over to you.
Yeah. First of all, thank you so much, Sri Hariji, for having me. And it's an honor to be interviewed. So I think that pretty much summed it up, my formal introduction. But what led me to the path of spirituality? I think since childhood, I was raised up in an atmosphere which was deeply spiritual and connected to the civilizational essence of Bharatvarsha. My father, my grandfather, my grandmother, and also my maternal side. So my Nanaji and his entire family was connected with Gayatri Shaktipeeth of Pandit Sri Ram Sharma Acharya. And my father's side was also, there were often recitations of Ramcharitmanas, Sundarkand, and so yeah, all of this was the atmosphere where I was brought up. Then after my 8th standard, I shifted to Saraswati Vidya Mandir, and the seeds of spirituality sprouted there. And yeah, I mean, in 9th, I was exposed to the literature of David Foley, Ram Sarup, Sitaram Goyal, and it just grew after that.
Superb. That's very, very interesting to note. And I think a lot of us have been impacted in our childhood through our families. Yeah. So family being the bedrock of our seeking just reiterates the whole thing about, I often listen to this as I interview many people. So that just, reinforces the importance of a family system already, which our culture gives a lot of emphasis on. Amazing. Yes. Thank you for sharing that. So adding to that question, I would, ask you, what are some of the specific traditions, spiritual traditions that has impacted you, and some of the acharyas or gurus that has inspired you in your path?
Most important influence has been of Swami Vivekananda. So I have read all of his works and all of his major speeches and writings. And he just urges you he provokes something in you that is absolutely comparable. Every word of his is illuminated with the deep personal spiritual experience. He's not speaking from a place of, he's not giving you polemics or lectures. He's urging you to recognize your own true essence, and then use that knowledge on the real world plane. So the contemporary exigencies that Bharatvarsh is facing, he's not an ascetic who will ask you to do tapasya in Himalayas. For him, tapasya begins by not being at peace, by being turbulent. And that is something which I really admire and which has really influenced. And then, the works that I just quoted in the previous statement, David Foley, and so Vedanta, especially Advaita, Shankar's interpretation, that has been a major influence. And then the Madhyamik theory of Nagarjuna, the Buddhist philosopher, the Shunyata theory of Buddhism. I like to see an integrated approach in Indian philosophy. So for me, all of the Indian philosophies, though they are different, every sect has its own interpretation, have a broader framework. And then that framework expands to the all Eastern spiritual traditions. All of them share some attributes which can form a common ground. So something.
Wonderful. Those were very insightful sharing from you, especially about the philosophy part. Some of the, though as you mentioned, though there are points of divergences, there are some grounds on which they all converge. And also about something very interesting that you shared about Swami Vivekananda ji. Awesome. So my next question would be, what is the unique initiative that you have been committed and investing a lot of your energies in for creating a spiritual society at the university level? Could you please share more about it for the benefit of the viewers?
Definitely. So 2 years ago, I was added to a group, and the group comprised of just 10 or 12 Hansraj College students, and they were being led by our founder, Moon Sharma, who is currently pursuing LLB. The purpose was to discuss spiritual and civilizational issues among themselves. And slowly that idea expanded into a society. We had the support of some faculty members, especially a principal ma'am, Dr. Rama Sharma. And it became the first spiritual society of Hansraj College. But then it just did not stop there. It became a pan-DU phenomenon because the demand for such a space was so great that it urged us to expand and expand. And it was not the work of just one person. Every member of society functioned as if it's their duty, their obligation to put in, to invest their efforts and energy. And that I think tells a lot about the contemporary student community. We like to see student community as if it's a space of deluded individuals who have nothing but hedonism to pursue. But the truth is they do not have alternatives, but they are craving to find one. They are craving to see one. And in Delhi University, this thing is very profound, very explicit. And I think Advaita is trying to bring them under an umbrella.
Lovely. I mean, such an inspiring initiative and much needed, as you said, because the demand just rubs off. It just shows up. And as you said, it will create a wildfire which brings a lot more people along together to just grow together and build on it. And as you mentioned, the name of the initiative is Advaita Society. So my next question would be, why Advaita? Is there anything to do with Advaita Vedanta, or what is the thought behind the naming of the society as Advaita?
This was actually a point of discussion while we were formulating. we chose the name Advaita because it literally means non-duality, all inclusiveness.
Hmm.
That divine is nowhere else up in this space, but in yourself. In the deepest of levels of your awareness and your consciousness lies the divine potential, which you can realize and confront. Atma Sakshatkar, the Pratyaksha Gyan. So, secondly, it also gives a cosmopolitan nature. It conveys the all inclusivity of our society because we are open to all sects. Just because our name is Advaita does not mean that only people who are associated with Ramakrishna Mission, let's say, can join it.
Hmm.
Advaita incorporates into it all sects, all philosophies, all schools, all interpretations. So Advaita has a space for Dvaita as well. Now
Hmm.
Shankar himself is said to be a devotee of Shiva, and the four spiritual spaces that he established, the four monasteries, all of them are spaces devoted to certain deities, Badrinath,
Right.
Dwarka, Puri, Srangeri. So it does not deny Dvaita, but it interprets Dvaita as a means of attaining ultimate non-duality.
Lovely.
I think that is something which conveys the essence of our society. That's why we chose the name.
Beautiful, beautiful. And I think that was very, very well interpreted. And hats off to the efforts that you're all doing, for the benefit of your batchmates, your other college mates.
Yeah.
So, could you tell us more about the activities that you have as part of your society?
Yeah, so our activities are basically on four fronts.
Mm-hmm.
The first one we can call sadhana, and those are the spiritual sessions, seminars, talks that we engage in, that we invite speakers. So we have invited speakers ranging from Sir David Foley to Swami Sarpriyanandaji to Shri M from Satsang Foundation, Amog Leela Prabhuji from ISKCON. So from all sects, from all walks of spiritual life, we try to incorporate. Then, secondly, the Shastrarth aspect. So that is because the idea was to fulfill the curiosity of seekers. And if we cannot fulfill it, at least we can provide them with a platform to express it,
Hmm.
to ask newer and deeper and right questions. So for that, we have established Kabir Mandal. Kabir Mandal is the discussion forum of Advaita Society, where people from there are atheists, there are agnostics, there are Advaitics, there are those who believe in dualist interpretation, Vaishnavas, Shaivs, then those who are interested in Shaktism,
Hmm.
and those who try to see parallels with the Shakti Puja and modern day feminism. So we are open to all, and all of them just try to question each other and stimulate imagination and intellect. So that is a
Lovely.
wonderful space. And the third one, Seva. So the social work, that is realizing your divine potential, Nar Seva, Narayan Seva,
Hmm.
that assertion of Swami Vivekananda. In pursuit of that, we have formed Nanak Mandal. And the fourth one is Patanjali Mandal. The Patanjali Mandal is devoted to meditative aspect, the mystic aspect. So we have had a workshop with the Isha Foundation, then also a workshop on Japanese form of meditation. So these are the four fronts that we are currently working.
Lovely. Very, very, I think you have covered four important aspects of
Yeah.
one's being and have considered different activities for all of these four different aspects,
Yes.
be it in a physical level or a mental level or an intellectual level, at further into a being or a consciousness level. Very, very well conceptualized and thought of. Thank
Thank you.
you for that. And so the next question I would like to ask you is, how has the society benefited the university student? And could you share some stories of transformation of the students who have been, associated with your society, the Advaita society? Uh, it would be very, very interesting to note how it has impacted. So please, if you could
Definitely.
share that. Yeah.
Yeah. So one of the foundational ideas behind Advaita was to keep the connection between the individual and the civilizational source, the civilizational essence intact. So what happens is, from a small town of India, probably in North India or South India, or wherever, a boy or a girl is traveling alone to a big city like Delhi, a metropolitan city, where they are alone. And in their city, in their village, as you told, the families have imparted certain samskaras. The spiritual traditions are intact. That is a fact. They visit temples, there are pujas, katha, and all forms of spiritual activity. But in Delhi, you have to fit in. And in order to fit in, you have to look cool. And the definitions of cool and woke are increasingly being perverted. And that is something that we have to devote our attention to. And so what happens is that student feels alienated at alienated from the student community and alienated from the cultural roots. And either he disconnects from the cultural roots to belong to the community, and often this is what happens. They feel isolated, they suppress their views, they suppress their identity, they try to belong, and ultimately they forget what their essence was. And this is the formative stage. The college life is the space where you develop your ultimate potential, where you orient yourself in life. So, our idea was, can we make a space for those students to let them know, to convey to them that they are not alone, that there are hundreds of other students who share their beliefs, who share their practices, who share their worldview, and who revere it. And I think we have been trying and we have been successful at it. So I'll share this one incident. Uh, was Janmashtami celebration in Hansraj College amphitheater, and it was scorching heat. Sunlight was direct and it was summertime. And at that time, more than 300 people, not just from Hansraj College, but from the SOL, which is Open College, School of Open Learning, and from other, even South Campus colleges, came there to attend the event, to see the cultural performances and participate. And that was very hopeful. That gave us reason to think that what we are doing is in fact fruitful, and we should keep doing it with greater rigor. And as for the personal transformation stories, I think so. We have this individual, and he's very rationalist. He's very intellectual, intellect oriented. So he used to ask a lot of questions to those who are engaged in spiritual practices at all. Because what happens is, when we are exposed to Western philosophy and Western forms of cognitive framework, sense making, we kind of confuse the Western religious traditions and Eastern religious traditions. We have studied the first, we know the first, and we think that the latter is just like the former. The deep distinctions between the two are ignored. And slowly, the nature of the questions changed of that individual. And from an atheist, he became an agnostic. And now he is the one who talks about the distinctions between religion and dharma.
Rajatji, you went on mute. No, you're on mute.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, that's okay.
How much could I?
So we heard you till
I cannot hear you.
where Hello, am I audible?
Yes,
Can you hear me?
you are still not audible to me.
Hello,
Hello.
Rajatji, am I audible?
Not audible. Yeah,
Yes, please go
and
ahead.
now he talks about the distinctions between religion and dharma and the distinction between Eastern religious traditions and Western ones. And he admits that his criticism was of Western religious structures and he confused the two. So
Hmm.
once you read the Eastern philosophies, once you read the Eastern, especially Bharatiya Darshan, it's
Hmm.
you realize that you were wrong and the death of God that Nietzsche talked about does not apply to India. So,
Hmm.
yeah,
Wonderful. I mean, that is an amazing testimonial in itself. It speaks for itself because through the intellectual inquiry, as you mentioned, how the seeker passed through different phases and then
yeah,
has come to a phase of realization of how the constructs of Western philosophy might not be applicable in our context, in Eastern context. Yeah. So,
hello.
am I audible? Hello?
No, it
Oh,
says Zoom meeting is muted. Yeah,
yeah. Thank you so much for sharing that, Rajat ji. And so, my next question would be to know what are the goals set out that for the society. Could you share some of the future plans that are in store?
yeah, definitely. So we are trying to first of all adjust to the physical, the offline um, mode of uh, education. So what we are trying to do is to make college-based self-study circles. So up tak we had WhatsApp groups and we could convey the texts or we could send the videos, audiovisual in those groups. But I think slowly students have had enough of the online format. And now they really want to engage face to face. So that is the first short term objective of a society. That is to make college based groups who can meet, who can talk, who can discuss, who can read together, study together, grow together, seek together. And as for the long term objectives, I think must be pretty much clear by now what we are trying to do. We are trying to make student community uh, of the seekers. We are trying to establish a platform where individuals who want to discover a deeper transcendental reality of existence can do so in conjunction with a multitude of other such individuals and other such seekers. So right now we are limited to Delhi University, but I think that is not a limit. Already we have students from BHU and JNU, and the idea is to form a nationwide community, expanding across all the major universities.
Wonderful. And we wish you all the best
Thank you so
for
much.
on this endeavor. It's very, very noble and much needed. Uh, so uh, for to conclude this interview, would you like to share how can a college student reach out to you? Maybe your email ID or how one could reach out to you so that they could take part in this initiative.
Definitely. Advait, if you type in Instagram, Advaita Society or Advaita HRC, you will find the Instagram page of Advaita. And you can just go to the Google. We also have a website, advaitasociety.com. You can contact us there. And I think we can provide the email ID in the link in the description below.
Yes,
Yeah.
sure, we will do that.
Okay.
All right. So thank you so much, Rajat ji. It was wonderful to speak with you and also learn about the society and its multiple efforts. So, once again, on behalf of Indica Moksha, I would like to thank you for accepting this invitation and taking time off to do this interview. And we would also like to wish you all the best in all your endeavors and to the society.
Thank you so much. And I would really like to convey my gratitude to Indica Moksha for giving us this opportunity.
Thank you. Namaste.
Namaste.